and welcome to Introduction to XPages Development, a video blog series at pauldn.com. Part 1, Overview of the XPages Design Environment. This series will be of interest to experienced Notes Domino developers with minimal or no experience with XPages. The goal is to convert a basic Notes application to an XPage application, and my goal is to show you just how easy it is to do that. This blog series is based on a free course that you can download from tlcc.com. In this first part in the series, I'll be covering the material in Module 1 through to the beginning of Module 2. To run the free course, you need the Notes client and Domino Designer installed, Release 8.5 or 9, and a current browser. Everything is run locally using the local web preview process, so a Domino server is not required. If you haven't already, you can go to www.tlcc.com and then try a free course. You will be required to first register at our site if you haven't already, and then you can choose the Introduction to XPages Development Release 9 or the 8.5 version of the course. You'll get a confirmation email, and then you can download the course installer and then run it to install. The course is installed in your Notes data directory in the TLCC demo path. When you finish the installation, the course lessons database is opened in Notes. In this first part of the series, we'll cover the lessons in Module 1 and the first lesson in Module 2. Only the course lessons database is initially installed in your workspace. All the course lessons, demonstrations, and activities are run from the lessons database, so that's all you'll need. You can still add the other course databases from the TLCC demo path in your Notes data directory. The customers, parts, and sales NSFs will provide the data sources for our XPages applications. Most of the XPages will be developed in the Workbench application. This is very different from traditional Notes development, where the data and the design elements are in the same NSF. In XPages development, you can design all of your XPages and XPages resources in one NSF and then specify data sources from different NSFs for display on the XPages. This approach allows you to develop reusable controls and libraries that can be shared across several applications. Let's take a look at the Customers application, which we'll convert during this blog series. This application shows our customer documents in several views: customers by name, by region, by sales rep, by type. And when we open a customer document, we see the kind of information that we track for our customers: their address, their contact, their phone number, and so on. This graphic shows the architecture of a traditional Notes application. Forms are used to create, update, and display Notes documents. Views are used to organize and sort the collections of documents in a database, and to provide summary, sorting, and searching features to help to locate information or a document. And the documents are simply a collection of fields with values. They are the data in the database. On their own, they provide no user interface, no display characteristics. The UI is provided by the form, in this case using fields and labels and a table to align the fields with their labels. One internal field added to a Notes document is the form field, which indicates the name of the form to use when displaying a document on a screen. The main point here is that in a traditional Notes application, it's the forms and views that provide the main part of the user interface. In XPages architecture, we see that the forms and views don't play a role in the user interface and are not used in the presentation layer. The role of the forms and views is isolated in the data sources layer, where they are used to provide a data definition or a schema of what fields are available for a Domino document data source or what columns are available for a Domino view data source. The presentation layer in this architecture is dominated by an XPages resources like custom controls and style sheets and themes and JavaScript libraries and so on. In other words, XPages own the glass in an XPage application. If you want to display on an XPage the columns in a view, you first add a Domino view data source to the XPage and then the appropriate XPage control to render the view, like a view panel control or a data view control. Similarly, to display the fields in a document, you would create another XPage and first add to this a Domino document data source. Then you add the labels and the input controls and the buttons and the other UI components to support the creation, editing, and the display of the Domino documents. Each XPage design element, which internally has a .xsp file extension, is compiled into a Java class, and that is what is used to build the HTML document and render the response when a user requests a page. The XPages architecture also provides an excellent foundation for developing mobile applications for handheld and tablet devices. This is an exciting area to develop your XPages skills and to leverage your existing understanding of the business processes and applications in your organization. In another blog series, I'll show just how easy it is to mobilize your application using the XPages mobile controls. And you are not limited to only Domino data sources. Using native REST services, you can surface on an XPage XML data or JSON data from many external applications. By installing the extension libx library from OpenNTF, you can also access relational data from any relational database management system that provides a JDBC driver. This set of graphics is showing the same Customers by Name XPage, but viewed from several different perspectives. In the top left, we see the XPage viewed in the design editor. For the most part, at least when you're starting out, you'll use the design editor to add controls and the properties view to set the properties for the control. A view panel control was added to this XPage, and in the properties view, the customer input XPage was chosen from the drop-down as the XPage to open to display the selected documents. The graphic on the right shows the XML source in the source editor for the same Customers by Name XPage. The source for an XPage is XML, and although you never have to use the XSP source editor, it is useful to look here to see what's really happening as you make changes in the design editor, and it's also a very powerful skill to develop when you can develop in the XPages source editor. Notice how the @runtime setting is actually the page name property on the start tag for the XP view panel control. The lower left graphic shows the Customer by Name XPage and 4 other XPages in the application's Navigator view. Switching to the Package Explorer, we see the 5 .java files for the same .xsp XPages. This is an indication that each XPage you develop is compiled into a Java class file, and that is what is used to efficiently build the HTML document to render the response when a desktop browser or a Notes client or a mobile device requests a page. So the question is, and for some of you, the scary question is, do I need to learn Java to develop XPage applications? And the answer is no, you don't. You can develop an enterprise-class XPage application for desktop and mobile devices without a stitch of Java. Now, if you do know Java, or someone on your team knows Java, or you plan to add Java to your skill set, awesome. You can then extend the functionality of your XPage applications with Java classes and Java beans and manage beans and all that good Java stuff. But you do not need to be a Java programmer to develop an XPages application. In fact, all you really need to know about Java for XPages development is on this slide. And that is, every .xsp XPage that you develop using the design editor has a corresponding .java file like the one shown in the top graphic. You do not and should not ever make changes directly in the .java file because these will be overwritten on the next change you make in the source editor or the design editor. When you initiate a build, your latest changes to the .xsp XPages are compiled into a Java class file, and that is what is used to render the response to the requesting client. So if you really do want your latest changes to show in the client, you must initiate a build to move your changes into the class file. And a build is separate from a save. So you can actually make and save changes to several XPages before initiating a build. You can initiate a build from the Project menu for all or the selected application in the Applications Navigator, or you can choose a working set of applications to build and compile changes from all of those applications. You can also right-click an application in the Applications Navigator and choose Build from the context menu to build just that application. Or You can select to toggle on the Build Automatically setting on the project menu to automatically build and compile the XPage whenever you initiate a save. With this option selected, you can forget about the build and compile process. And that is really all you need to know about Java.
That's all I have to say about that.
Now, if you don't know JavaScript, you will need to add JavaScript to your skill set to effectively develop XPage applications. JavaScript is the primary programming language that is used in XPages. Most events, like the on-click event of a button, can be coded with client-side JavaScript or server-side JavaScript or both. Almost every property for an XPage control can be coded with server-side JavaScript. The HTML document and the window object and other client-side objects are available to your client-side scripts. For your server-side scripts, you have access to all of the backend Domino objects like the Notes database object, the Notes view object, the Notes document object, Notes item, and so on. Also, most of the @ functions have been ported to a library that's available to your server-side JavaScript events. Here we see a familiar @db column to return the values from the first column in the customer's view in an application. This last set of slides describes the different views, editors, and perspectives available for XPages development. You use the Applications Navigator to select design elements within an application and to organize your applications into working sets. The XPages Design Editor provides a graphical interface to develop your XPage. You drag controls from the Controls palette onto the canvas and then set the properties in the Properties view or program the events in the Events view. Click on the Source tab at the bottom of the editor area to view and edit using the XSP Source Editor. The Outline view provides a hierarchical representation of all of the controls and components that you add to your XPage. When you select one of these components in the Outline view, it shows as selected in the editors, and its properties are displayed in the Properties view, and its events are displayed in the Events view. The Controls palette organizes all of the available controls under different categories, like the Core controls, the Container controls, and the Mobile controls. From the Controls palette, you select a control to add to your XPage and drag it onto your canvas in the XPages editor. Finally, the Data palette will show all of the data sources that you've added to the XPage. It will list the available columns for a Domino view data source, and for a Domino document data source, it lists the available fields. This is a useful reference area when coding an event, but it's also a live palette. This means you can drag a set of fields from the Data palette and drop them onto your XPage editor canvas, and you'll automatically get a listing of input controls and the associated labels, and they'll automatically be formatted in a 2-column table. This completes part 1 of our Introduction to XPages development series. At this point, we've covered the material in Module 1 up to the overview in Module 2. You can review these lessons in your course for additional details. Also, you should complete the 2 activities in Module 1. Next time, in Part 2, we'll continue with creating an XPage. So long for now.